This is BS. This is BS. Why are we here? I am going to call corporate.
Who the hell gave this guy a video camera? Welcome, I guess, into another edition of BSing with Big Nate. Good luck.
Dead original, bought and sold on another edition of BSing with Big Nate. Ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a fun one today. I am joined by the lovely Paul Wandtke. How are you doing today, Paul?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Oh no, it's my pleasure. So I want to talk before we go any further and talk about Dead Original Bought and Sold. I want a little bit on your background as a musician because I feel like you have worn and continue to wear a lot of hats. So let's get the background on Paul.
Okay. Yeah, man. Well, first of all, I've been doing this for years. I'm 34 years old. Uh, I've done a lot of gigs as a drummer. I started on drums, that was my thing. And, I've always been multitasking, doing a lot of different things. Before Dead Original, I was playing drums for Trivium, the famous metal band. Actually got nominated for a Grammy, which is kind of cool. And then before that, it's always been like a snowball effect. I did Rock of Ages, the musical. I did 2 6-month contracts, the touring version, and also a cruise ship version. Um, and then before that, I played drums for Keel Hanna. They're not around anymore, unfortunately. But the tour that I was a part of was we toured. We were main support for the Smashing Pumpkins. I thought I made it. Before that, it was just random stuff. I did some stuff with cruise ships. I also worked with Etzel Dope from the band Dope. I played drums for a side project called Sucker Punch. And that was one of my first gigs. I was like 19 years old. I was like, whoa, cool, man. So I just been hustling, working. And yeah, that's here I am. Thanks for having me.
So I want to ask, my primary focus, I promise you, is going to be Dead Original, but Dope was a band for me that, like, in my formative years, major influence. You're 34, I'm 30, so like we kind of came up around that same time, and I was a big fan of Dope. So I do, before we go any further, I want to ask, what's working with Edsel like at the age of 19?
He was really cool. He said I was weird, but I think that was coming from because I just had a lot of questions. I never did anything professional before. That was one of my first professional things. Dude, he's cool. He's a real person. I ran into him on tour with Trivium, and he invited me on his bus, and he said congrats, and because he remembered me. He's like, how can you forget some 19-year-old punk, that didn't know what he was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing, but like I'm getting comfortable.
Hey, I mean, comfort and confidence are key. Like, if you're going to do anything in life, you can do a terrible job, but if
Yeah.
you're confident, I feel like you can just kind of, and I'm not saying you do a terrible job, but, and we're going to talk about that Dead Original. It's fantastic. But I feel like confidence is key. I do want to talk about Bought and Sold and Dead Original. I think it would be more fair to talk about Dead Original as a whole before we talk about the single. So how did Dead Original come to be?
Because I've been always a drummer. I've always fantasized about being a singer, and I've always wanted it to be 90s-ish. Like my favorite band's Nirvana. I mean, I have a Nirvana tribute. I've been doing it between all the gigs, during the gigs I've been doing. I was doing fly-in Nirvana tribute shows when I was playing drums for Trivium. When, we're like playing in the UK or something. It's like, just, I think I can't grow out of it. Like something's telling me to just keep that alive within me. And I'm a big fan of Kurt Cobain and what he did. And so Dead Original has been something I've been working on for years, dude. Like, I was writing stuff, I was trying to sing, between all the gigs I've been doing. And then I finally, found the right guys for it to work together and finally come out with this stuff. So it's just been years in the making.
I think what you've got here is really solid. I know. So 2017 is kind of bandied about in everything I've seen as the start date for Dead Original. But I know 2020 has been one of those years. Of course, you got the new single out, Bought and Sold. What's it looking like for an album?
We're gonna do the digital release January 8th.
January 8th, we'll have some Dead Original. And I do want to ask, does it feel, so of course your background being drums, was it kind of a natural extension for you? Do you feel like you kind of have more of a grasp on everything musically because you have that drumming background, that rhythm background, so you feel both sides? Or do you feel like it was just kind of like a walking in front of a room naked?
Well, no, like I said, this has been years in the making. I've gotten experience singing on stage. So definitely I feel more comfortable with the guitar and singing this stuff than I do playing drums because the role of a drummer is very you're responsible for the whole band. And in my opinion, that's how you make a good song is drums. Like you have a good melody and then you support it with a good harmony concept. Um, but the drums at the end of the day, you can make a demo that's really bad sound amazing by the rhythmic support because essentially because I studied music theory, I went to Berklee College of Music. That's actually how I got the Trivium gig was from Mike Mangini. So it is true. Who you know is very important. So don't be rude or mean to anybody. Um, but yeah, drums are number one. They carry the song. They make the song, in my opinion, from songwriting, doing all this. And as far as performing, doing it live, it just feels like breathing. I feel like I'm doing something more than I could do on drums, if that makes sense. Like, because I got wrapped up in the whole idea of being aspiring to be like a virtuoso drummer. Look at me, I got endorsements. But at the end of the day, after getting experience and working for people, and it's like, who cares? Just why don't I try to do something that I actually care about? That's more about the music instead of, um, branding and trying to be the cool guy. It's more about the music. So
Yeah, the soul behind it. And I think there's a lot of passion in everything I've heard. Definitely, you say you kind of wanted to embody that 90s feel, all of your favorite bands. And I think like when I listen, I pick out elements like it's like, I can see like the Pearl Jam influence here, the Nirvana, but it feels almost updated. Like it's like if grunge came out in 2020, and I mean, we're kind of at a parallel point. We've kind of cycled back around. So it feels new. It doesn't feel old. It doesn't feel dated. It doesn't feel obvious that this was what you're trying to do. It's just the influences are worn on the sleeve. And I think it's fantastic.
cool.
Um,
Thanks, man.
I do want to ask you kind of addressed that. Like you feel like you can breathe almost doing the guitar and the singing. Something I do want to ask is, when you're drumming, all four limbs are usually involved. Sometimes five if you're particularly zealous while you're drumming. Is
Yeah,
it?
you should be counting, subdividing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, is it easier?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a virtuoso singer, but I feel like what we're doing and the reason why we say grunge undertones is because this is about the vibe and overall message of the song, which I feel is kind of missing in a lot of today's music. Everything's so overly produced. And that's kind of a bold statement, but I agree with you with saying that we have that old school vibe, but it's new because we're not trying to be, in my opinion. I've been working on this for years, dude. Like I've been trying to, like I always imagine, like what if the 90s thing kept going before new metal is what I've always been thinking about, for like years. So that's, to me, for you to say that was like the coolest thing in the world, cooler than you know being on a salary playing drums somewhere with music that I didn't have anything to do with. So thanks, dude.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, it's just something to me, and I agree with you. I think kind of grunge kind of had this weird period, and you specifically named new metal. I think like I can pinpoint it. I think to Woodstock '99 is I think that was kind of a dying point, and it kind of, I mean, of course you've got Kurt's death, you've got Lane's death, which came after Woodstock '99, but there are points where it's like it just kind of got neutered, and I think like look at what Pearl Jam's doing and Alice in Chains are still doing. They've grown up and it's become polished, it's become produced, and I think there is something for the soul behind it, but also having the value attributed to it. And
Yeah.
I think you guys have that. I'm real excited for January the 8th.
Thanks, man.
I can't wait to hear the album's, of course, also going to be entitled Bought and Sold. Where'd the title come from?
Just the idea of being, I mean, it could be viewed in many ways. It could be about politics, but from my experience, it's I bought and sold myself being a work for hire musician instead of like just following, what I should have just been doing this whole time. Which
So
is like, it feels like breathing, dude. Like I was listening to this book and it said like Oprah Winfrey was like trying to be this newscaster, and she got fired, and then she opened up her own show, and she herself said, "It feels like breathing." I think that's when you find out what you're supposed to do in life. And like, yeah, at the end of the day, I'll always be a drummer, and even if this blows up or it doesn't blow up, I don't give it, I don't care, because I know we can go play at a venue, and if 200 people show up, I'm happy, dude. You know what I mean? That's cool.
I think that's something that a lot of people can relate to. I think there's an emotion, and I'm real glad I asked that question because I was kind of hesitant. I was like, it's probably going to go with like the hired gun answer. But like you put it so eloquently, is that there's the freedom of, being able to have your creative input, do your thing. And I think a lot of people can relate to that because like before I worked in radio, I worked customer service and tech support at a certain telecommunications provider, and it was soul sucking. Now I work longer hours. I'm working more hours, doing more stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like you said, I feel like I can breathe. So I think that's really powerful. And I think 2021 is going to kick off great with Bought and Sold. So really looking forward to that. I do need to ask before we leave, this is probably the most important part because people are going to want to know, where can they find Dead Original online?
Just go to deadoriginal.com. We've been selling physical CDs signed by the band with free shipping. We're actually saying free worldwide shipping. Like, we're actually mailing some CDs today to Australia and the UK. Just go to deadoriginal.com. We got the tour dates and everything there. Obviously, at Dead Original, you can find us on other social platforms, but definitely pushing people to subscribe to our newsletter because we're a new independent band. We have so deadoriginal.com.
Excellent. Give Dead Original some love. Bought and Sold, the single out now, album coming out January the 8th. And Paul, thank you so very much for joining me today.
Thank you, Nate.